Wait, what's going on YouTube? It's Donnie all day. So here's the deal, man. My buddy Scabber over at Choir Boys Outdoors, if you're not subscribed, subscribe, sent me two, not this many, Work Tough gear knives to go over. Both are good knives, but I like one more than the other. And the one I like more is called the Red Wolf. I did a short on this thing. This is a really nice knife. This thing is designed beautifully. So I don't want to do that one first. I want to save, it's like save the best for last type thing. So he sent me another one called the Asset. Asset is usually something that you would refer to like military, something like that. So it makes it sound like the Asset should be a combat knife design. And while if I was deployed and this was issued to me, I wouldn't go, ugh, crap, oh no. I would never choose it, but I'll tell you why. So what I want to do is I want to show you this knife, and I want to go over the pros and cons. And the pros are going to be a little bit more than the cons on this knife. I'll tell you that right away. The sheath on the Asset, I'm assuming this is the stock sheath. It is. There's a little Work Tough gear symbol on there. It's a nice sheath. It's got a drainage hole. It's got plenty of room for cordage. You can add an ult-eye clip. You can do a lot of different things with mounting, and I'm not sure. No, the other one, the Red Wolf, doesn't have anything to mount either. So I don't know if these knives come without mounting brackets or if you have to add your own. Like on this one, I put the ult-eye clip 3.3 on there, and on this one, I put the ult-eye clip 2.2. So there's always options. So I don't know. I don't know if these come with clip or not. I don't know if it would say so. It just says sheath, black Kydex. Doesn't say anything about that. So I can't speak on that. What I can tell you is that the retention on this is actually really good. It's a nice looking sheath. It's not bad at all. So that's the sheath on the Asset. Now let's get into the pros and cons, and I'm going to start with the cons because it's going to get over fast. This knife is used. It's very used. So I have no idea how much wear is on this grip. But if the grip came stock like this, I would say it's way too slick for a diamond patterned grip. And you can see it's pretty to look at. It's really slick. Like there is nothing holding my full grip. You could hear it snapping. This knife has really no grip at all, but it could be worn. Does that mean if you buy yours and you use it as much as whoever used this one, you're gonna wear out some grip? Evidently, maybe a little bit, but it's one of those knives too where I bet if I was wearing gloves I probably wouldn't have that problem. So while it's a con, it's not a complete con, and the reason I say that is because of right here and right here. That is done really well. And even if this thing was solid with no diamond on it, right, with no texturing, I would still be able to hold this knife. Even though it would be very slick, I would be able to hold this knife just because of the proper contouring done. So while that's going to be a con, it's also not. I mean, that it's just not. The only other con outside of point of balance, and I'll get into that, and that's literally the only other con, is going to be right here. I don't know why people do triangular skull cracks or breaks, things like that, where they're pointy. I'll look at this one right here. You see how that's like Incan pyramid style, and this one's India pyramid, or Egyptian pyramid, I mean. This does the same exact job as this, and this one can actually be used as a makeshift big screwdriver if you needed to. The difference is this one, when I push it into the Kydex sheath, it doesn't stab my hand. Where this one, I noticed the first time I took it out, and then I put it back, and I went like this, and I was like, ugh, that right there is stabbing the crap out of me. It's 90-degree angles right there. So that was really sharp, kind of unnecessarily sharp, but oh well, it is what it is. And then the only other thing on that would be they put some jimping right here, but not right here. if I'm holding this knife in the reverse grip, unless it's all worn down, and it might be, because it looks like there was some on the, I don't know if you could see it. See on the bottom, you could almost see some jimping. On this side, you can still see it. Maybe there was jimping, I don't know. But I'm saying you'd want it here when you're in the reverse grip, and there's no jimping here. It's on the other side, which doesn't really get any play unless you're choking way down, but then your hand is around it and you're not even really, I don't know, just an odd choice. And that would be by the designer, obviously, not the maker. And the only other thing I was telling you about was the point of balance. If you're going to have a blade that's big enough to be a fighting blade, you work the mean, work the math. It's not, you see how it goes sideways instead of like up and down and all around. If it's going to be some kind of fighting knife, it should have a fighting knife POB. This one doesn't. It has more of a utility knife POB, like a hunting knife POB. But that's it. That's the cons. And the cons are like, okay, who cares? You could still stab. You could still fight with it. It's just like how it's going to swing away. If the mean was a little better, it would swing differently. That's it. As far as overall knife construction, let's get into this. I like the, I'm not generally a pencil fuller fan, where, you know, the really skinny fullers. On this blade, that looks good. If they were bigger, it would be too much. I think because they're cut in really deep and they have sharp angles here, I think that fuller looks really good. I'm not usually a fan of ramped thumb lifts on the blade. It works on this. It really freaking works on this. The jimping is pretty aggressive. You're going to feel it on your thumb. Most definitely, if I press down, you're gonna see that instantly. So it's definitely got some thick jimping, but I'm gonna give a little defense to the designer on that one and say, if you're calling it the Asset, that means you're probably meaning it to be some kind of military blade, and by the grinds, that K-bar style grind, I'm gonna say that's what he was going for. And if so, you're thinking a lot of operators wear gloves. I personally, in combat, never wore gloves. Couldn't stand it. I needed my hands free. I needed to feel what I was feeling. So with gloves, you would never feel that. It would just dig into the glove and you'd have positive traction. So while you could hear that as a con, it's really not. The grinds, let's get back to that. It's like an improved K-bar. It's just nice. It's beautifully thick. The actual thickness is 4 millimeters. The blade length is 5.1 inches. The overall length is 10.5 inches. They have one in dark wash, and that's what I'm reading on. This one I'm assuming is like maybe a stone wash, unless it is the dark wash just worn. It's really hard to tell when the knife's not brand new what it was, if it's heavily used, and this one is definitely heavily used. I am not going to tell you what the edge is like because it's heavily used. It would be very unfair to Work Tough Gear to say, wow, this is their edge. It's not. This is a very used edge, and by the scratches in the edge, I can tell you that it looks like it's at least been honed. So it's definitely not a stock edge. The coloration on the scales, I love it. I freaking love it. The blue liners, I freaking love it. I think that's awesome. Overall attractiveness on this knife, because that gets me a lot. I think this knife is sexy. It really is a sexy knife. This knife I like better. This one was designed by Vic Lin. Awesome knife. While this one is a better knife as far as how it's done, how it's designed, this is a sexy ass knife, man. It really is. It's a freaking thing of beauty. You hear that click? It's a thing of beauty. So let's take it outside and do some work with it. Now, I'm not going to start with like maybe I'll try and cut some rope. I was going to say I'm not going to start because it's a used edge, but it feels like it could still probably cut. But we just want to see if it works. Let's take it out. All right, so I can tell you it's sexy all day long, but showing you is a little better. That's a sexy looking knife. I don't care who you are. That's a good looking blade. So let's get this thing working. I find that if I hold the knife way down here, this is where the proper mean is for a fighting knife. It would be way down here. So you can see how far off it is. But I think because of the mean it's at, this thing is going to make a mean utility slash camp knife. I think it would make a fantastic camp knife, as a matter of fact. All right, so let's do some gravity drops, and we will see how that tip bites in. It's nicely contoured tip, and it actually bites in really well. The blade is, or the knife itself is really heavy. Look at those blue scales, man. I mean, the blue liners are absolutely jumping out in the sun. Man, those are sexy. All right, let's do a couple hard downwards. Now, one thing I will tell you, wow, that got way in there. One thing I can tell you is that because my hands are gigantic, the grip fits my hand really well. If you have little tiny hands, this is going to be a little big. But for us big guys, thank you, Work Duff Gear, for making it this big. Let's see. Okay, so without a doubt, this thing's got some drive into the wood. We're gonna try a push cut. All right, definitely not gonna push cut. Let's see if we can saw it. There we go. All right, so with a little bit of wiggle, it was able to cut through. Disclaimer, this is not the original edge, and if it is, then somebody used the hell out of it and didn't own it. Let's try a little chop here. Boom, nice and clean. Got through everything inside the cord. Obviously, it's not going to have any chunky dunkies. They do really good heat treats over here, over here, right next door. Let's see. Oh, I can see this absolutely as a camp knife. I mean the weight, and here's the deal, man. Only 1% of the population joins the military. 1% of that 1% go to combat, and 1% of that 1% actually see combat. Most people that go to war, like, oh, they've been in Afghanistan, they pretty much stay on the FOB the entire time on a base. They don't ever go anywhere. They don't ever do anything. So you're not gonna get that. You know what I mean? I don't know where that conversation was going, but for a military knife, that's right. So what I was saying is, so if you're buying the knife as a combat knife and you're thinking, oh, combat, what are the chances you're going to actually see combat? Very freaking slim. Very slim. I do like the way if I choke way down here and change the mean to a chopping mean, which means I'm going way down now. I was at my fighting knife, chopping right there. And the reason I'm able to do all this is because of this swell. That swell is great. I'm able to really hold on. And I was telling you that this is slick, and then I told you how it doesn't matter because of this. It doesn't matter because of that. That's a slick, slick grip, but you can see it's not sliding out of my hand. That's really good in my opinion. So when you're buying a combat knife, in the States, and if you're not going to combat, if you're not, it's not something that you plan on bringing with you overseas for some kind of deployment, you're gonna want one more like this. You're gonna want one that's more suited for anything use, not just combat use, because that's pretty much what your knife is going to be used for. I mean, no one's out there having clean knife fights, so you're not worried about that. You're not out there cutting detonation cord and digging up landmines, so you don't have to worry about that. What you're doing with your knife is this kind of crap. You're just going to be cutting stuff. You're going to be maybe shaving down some wood or making a point on something, or you're having a cookout and you're going to need to make some sticks to put marshmallows or hot dogs on. That's what the average person is using a knife for, to be honest. So if I'm going to use any points of negativity, like, oh, it's not really made for combat as far as fighting weight, that doesn't matter. That really doesn't matter. It's like most people that buy the K-bar, and they get so mad because I'll talk smack about a K-bar, but the K-bar, you know, people sell it, they sell it to themselves pretty much as a fighting knife. It's a utility knife, and it's a fantastic utility knife. I freaking love the K-bar. Everybody thinks I hate the K-bar because I'm honest about it. The weight is made just like this. It's a utility knife. I think the K-bar is one of the best hunting knives. This is nice on the planet. But people, all they hear is not fighting, not fighting. Oh yeah, oh you can't talk about the K-bar. Well, guess what? I can talk about the K-bar. So, I mean, this thing is pretty good, man. This is a knife. This isn't a combat knife. This isn't a fighting knife. This isn't a work knife. This isn't a utility knife. This isn't a camp knife. This isn't a hunting knife. This is a knife. This is just a knife. This will do a whole lot of knife tasks. I gotta be careful not to punch this, because yesterday or the other day there was a stick on this, and I swung a blade and a little piece of stick was sticking out that I didn't see, and I caught it. It hurt like hell. I kept going. Oh man, I'll tell you what, for a knife that if I hold like this take me 4 days to get through this. But choking down, I mean, what a difference in the hit. Holy Moses. The fact that this well is done so damn good, that's nice. That's nice. Man, I'll tell you. A lot of people hear me talk about things and they think I'm being negative, and I get that a lot. Oh, you're downing something. No, I'm honest. You don't want to go to a knife reviewer who's not going to be honest with you. I'm telling you that right now. So I'm going to tell you all about the knife, all about everything about the knife. I'm not going to just blow smoke up your ass and tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you everything. Look at this, man. Look at this, man. And I'll tell you what, I could make a pros and cons list about every single knife on the planet, even my own. But it's always nice when the pros outweigh the cons, and B, when the cons are like, okay, so what? And this is one of those knives where the cons are like, so what? Look at this knife, man. This is a very used edge. This is a very used edge. And I'm not just telling you that. I'm looking at it. I mean, you could see it. Oh, I'll tell you, it's not bad. We're gonna see how we can go on a half spin, and I think I can't go too far back because of the knife. Let's see. Let me try and get you guys there here. Yeah, baby. All right. So it'll throw. I just had a feeling about that. It's like the K-bar, and I keep going back to that because the weight to me for where the mean is, where the point of balance is really identical, and I could throw that K-bar all day long. I could throw it all day long. It's really windy out here. It has been for days, and the problem with windy in New England in winter, that means freaking freezing. So we're gonna get some of this done. I'm gonna get out of here because I mean, it's doing what it's doing. It's doing what it's doing. I think it's already proved itself as a knife. But I mean, it's fun. So I just want to do a little more. Let's see if I can give it a really good one. Oh, I just caught the tip. Woo, that thing shot out. All right, let's give it another one. Let's give it another one. Oh, that was a nice hard piece right through a knot. That was right through that knot, baby. So, what do I think about the Work Tough Gear Asset? I'd be an ass hat if I didn't think good things about it. I'll tell you that. I think it's a really good knife. I think it's robust. I think it's thick. I think it's burly. I think it's good looking. It's extremely well made. The blue liners just have me. I mean, it's like you had me at hello. Those things are nice, man. Those are really, really nice. So, would I, and this is what it always comes down to at the end, would I recommend this knife? Yeah. Now, if it was mine, there's always an if it was mine, would I do something different? Okay, so if I own this knife, what I would do is I would take it downstairs to my little grinder, and I would just make that flat right before the lanyard hole. Flatten that out. I would never have a problem after that with pushing it into the Kydex sheath and doing, because you're pushing, and this part of your hand is just completely scraping right there. That's the only thing I would do. I would take this knife, worth the money, even if I was going to grind it. It would be worth the money to me, because it's that good of a knife. It's very robust. But absolutely, take that down, man. That would change the entire thing. It would change the entire thing. Then all of a sudden the consless was nice knife. I got to clean this off and send it back to Scabber. Can't wait to do the other one, though. I think that other one is just built. Oh, man, that Red Wolf. That Red Wolf is such a nice design. So, here it is. The Asset by Work Tough Gear. Not too shabby. Not too shabby, my friends. I am Donnie B all day. Until next knife.